What's up, y'all? LTJ Reed's here. This is Throwing Light, and if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. We were on a little hiatus, so it's been a minute since we were like, I guess it's been 2 weeks. No, we had the IML class 46 reunion on here. Anywho, it is June 1st, y'all. It is June 1st. I have got a special guest who exactly was on the show exactly a year ago. Velvet Steele is back. I'm so glad to have her on here. I do want to let everybody know this is episode 98. So in 2 episodes, we're hitting the 100th episode. I'm going ahead and letting people know about it. The cast reveal for the 100th episode is going to be relatively soon this week or by next weekend. So I'm excited about that. We're going to play some games for the 100th episode. But anyways, let's go on with tonight and let's get Velvet back here. Since the last time Velvet was on, she has now become International Person of Leather. 2025, the current year. Yes. How are you, Velvet?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Uh,
It has been quite a year. Uh, as you say, I'm the current International Person of Leather. I have been traveling around, seeing people and doing things, and we have a new administration in the White House, and that has definitely changed some things. And we are trying to keep up with all that.
yeah, the world was different just a year ago, huh?
Very.
Great. Yeah. Um, so I got to see you at International, Mr. Leather. That was really cool. Was have How many times have you been to International, Mr. Leather?
That was my first International Mr. Leather.
Awesome. Did you have a good time?
I had such a wonderful time. Everyone was so kind and so welcoming. And I got to spend some time with people that I just think are absolutely amazing folks and meet some new people who are amazing. And I cannot wait to see what Renee does as International Mr. Leather.
Right. It was so great watching it and not being a part of it because all that anxiety of competing's gone. But it was just a great group of people, a great group of people competing for that title. I'm very excited as well. I will. Some of those contestants will be on this show eventually, so I'm excited to have some of the current IML class. I was sitting right behind you at the Sunday show, I think.
Oh, nice.
Was sitting behind you, I think. Yeah, for a little bit, but I was like moving around. So, anyways, it was cool. They had the IML live going on as well. So this is my second IML. This is my first IML as just like, well, I mean, like not a non-competitor. That's just the easiest way to do it. Because if you're a contestant, it's not like as leisurely as much. But it was cool just being there, and I got to reunite with some of my classmates, and it was fun. This is my thing though, is that there were so many people to meet, and it's just like there's not enough time. It's just not enough time, and we're there for like I was there Thursday to Monday. That's 5 days, but like it's just there's so many people to like you can't. I mean, to want to spend like a freaking hour with everyone. It's not always that easy. Cause like when we did my class reunion, it was literally just an hour of us coming together and everyone broke back away because everyone has their own lives and things and connections and things like that. So, having that experience of unity and these different facets of people and people that care about the community as well, just having a weekend of that, it's a hard thing to leave, you know.
It is absolutely. And I think building community right now is so, so, so important for us to find our place and to find our people and support and build each other up. And IML is such a wonderful place for that. It really is. And there are so many incredible things going on. I saw you in the POC caucus, which was absolutely moving. I went to the Leather Archives and Museum, which was just spectacular, as you know. Spent time with Judy Tallwing McCarthy, the first Emsel. They just, it was such a beautiful microcosm of our community, and to see everybody supporting each other and happy for one another. And when the contestants were going on Sunday, everyone lining the halls to cheer them on. It made my heart so full.
It's just I'm there for that. I'm a part of the community for what we do as, activists in our community. Of course, that event is also for those that just, like, hey, it's not always all work. Like, there are parties and things to do as well, if that's what you're there for. But like, it's everyone. There are a lot of people I really, really, really respect and know that are there because they care about our community. And so, regardless of how they have fun or anything like that, I am encouraged, I guess, or I feel more it's like validation. That there are at least, we know there, hell, thousands of people that are showing up to this for unity, but also for leadership and
Mhm.
for education and in various different ways. Um, with you being international person of leather, was that, I feel like, okay, when you judged Velvet was one of my judges for Mr. Austin Eagle. I don't know if anybody ever knew that. So she helped pick me. But you didn't have a sash back then, correct?
I don't believe I did. I think that was before I won Heartland. Yes.
Yeah. But
Yes.
I feel like we had a conversation, me and you, about when did that come about? When did you decide you wanted to do that?
Run for Heartland?
Yeah.
I it's something I always wanted to do, or I'd wanted to do for a long time. Funny thing is, I first heard about leather titles when I joined the community. I had a friend that was running for Miss Texas Leather, and I said, "Oh, that sounds like fun." And a producer of another contest said, "Oh, really?" And then COVID happened and whatnot. And I found out more about it. And I found out that it was a position of leadership, and it was a way for one to really step forward in the community and help make things happen, and help and have a way to help your vision be realized within the community. And and for Person of Leather, that's a title system I really like because it's non-gendered. I am a leather person. That's it. And I can represent other people as leather people, whatever that other intersectionalities may be. That is our commonality. And that is where we stand together.
Right on. Um, so, with everything that's going on now, so what is kind of the focus of your, what is your main message that you're trying to personally promote during your title year?
We need to resist. We need to not back down. We need to stand together and stand as advocates for ourselves, for our community. And that means building our community, strengthening our local communities, and reaching out between our communities to make them strong so that we know who we're standing up for and why we're standing up for them. And for each of us to set aside some time every day to do something, anything, whether that's stepping forward in your community and building those bonds, whether that's writing your Congress people, whether that's making your 5 calls from the 5 calls app, whatever that may be, that each and every day we are doing something to help protect ourselves and our people.
Protecting ourselves is extremely important. And we're not at a point in our history right now where we can pick and choose. Well, people are trying to pick and choose who they want to protect. And just bring it back. Like, we can't be like LGB without the T. Like, we have to protect trans people.
There's no freedom for all of us if there's no freedom for each of us if there's no freedom for all of us.
I think that, so as someone with now with the international title, like, where do you want to be? Where do you feel important you need to go?
In terms of geographically,
Yeah, or, not necessarily, you can participate in international things right from your home by being on Zoom or any kind of engagement. Or places that you feel you need to engage during your year? How do you feel about, where your presence is needed?
I think my presence is needed everywhere I can be. I believe it's important for people to be seen and be heard, really heard. Uh, so wherever I can be, that I can provide that safe space for someone to show me who they are and for me to be able to see them and validate that, I think that's important. And that could be in Alaska, it could be in Australia, it could be in my own backyard. Those moments happen wherever we are open with one another and accepting of one another and ready to hear and see one another.
So, one of the most, I think, what I would say was a great moment of being on that caucus was when, the person spoke about disability. Um, I felt in that microcosm that we were in that everybody was seen. There was someone to see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that luxury in the normal world. You know what I'm saying? There's so many people that feel like they're not being seen. So when we're going about, our missions to try to inspire others to do things and to come together and to overlook, aspect, or what I'm trying to say is that, if we're ignoring anyone in our community, then we're being hypocrites, right?
I see what you mean. I think it's important for us to give each other grace. To when we see one another setting somebody aside or not seeing someone or discounting what somebody else's experience may be. I think it's important for us to hold each other accountable with kindness and with grace and with saying, we can do better.
We don't
We
have
need to stand together, not against one another. So let's encourage each other to do better and be better, not say you're not doing enough, so you're not worth it.
like the greater gay community at large, the mainstream community that people see on television, all of that, those people
Mm-hmm.
that are not, that are living off of the work that
Mm-hmm.
living off the work that we do. So, what has been interesting to me is that when we're in these, when we're in places that we create unity and acceptance, it's a great way to lead. But, our community is not what is the mainstream, really. So the mean girl energy. So, when you're seeing treat people with kindness and all that, the thing is that there's this larger superficial gay community at large where being mean girls and throwing shade, now we've shade's become a commodity. It's become, RuPaul's Drag Race, all of this, the idea that we need to be, that being a villain is more entertaining than being a hero. Like, for me, it's better. So people are like, well, my way of showing love is I'm going to throw shade and I'm going to say something that gets at one of your insecurities. This does not make sense to me, and I don't know how to make it make sense. But why can't we flip that around and just give people compliments and encouragement? Why does it need to be a game of, oh, I'm going to be shady and this and that? Because that is what's in our media being approved right now. And we have someone, an entertainer, that's, in some ways is perpetuating some negative things in the community for money.
Well, I see where you're coming from. The reality, though, is we can only control what we do ourselves. So we can lead by example. We can give those compliments. We can hold the people we know accountable. And I think it's important to understand the world feels so out of control right now that sometimes people are punching down because they think that's something they can control. They think, well, I can't do anything about what's happening in Washington, but I can do something about what's happening in my backyard that I don't like. Well, or that makes me uncomfortable, which is probably more likely. But that punching down, that making each other, trying to take control by being mean to one another is not in our best interest. It's not good for any of us. So each one of us can decide not to do that. But it's something we each have to decide for ourselves because we can't control what other people do.
We also can't just like, we can't be like, oh, well, that's the way things are, and we can't do anything about it. At the
Complacency is definitely
no,
not an
right.
option.
It's not.
Speaking up is something we can do, absolutely. Hold people accountable is something we can do, absolutely.
I don't
But
know. I've had leaders in our community. I've reached out and from prominent people, like I reach out and say, hey, I've been trying to work on like this symbol for like unity that I like. It's almost done. I was gonna make this sticker, which essentially it says together, and it's like all elements of all flags, and it's trans inclusive, all of that. So, but
mhm,
I was talking to some of my mentors about it, and then when I was like, I want to work on ending infighting, they're like, oh, good luck with that. It's not going to happen. I'm just, and I get that, but why are we complacent? Why are we? But not like, why would we not want to try to clean up? No one can say that we can eradicate infighting, but we don't have to let it be rampant because there is something on social media in our community that people are bickering about weekly.
mhm,
Weekly.
absolutely there is. And I applaud you for doing what you can to make that a little bit better. I agree that we will never be able to eradicate it. Human nature is human nature. But trying to be our best selves,
Right.
trying to ask the people around us to be their best selves, that's a wonderful, laudable goal.
Yeah. That's how I feel. Sometimes and that's why it feels like a little Twilight Zoney a little bit sometimes, the way that the responses are to things in our community, where I'm like, this is not, social media, it should be a blessing. It should be about connecting to people and sharing your truths. And it's a really amazing invention because back in the 90s, like the world wasn't a part of our world. We can find out what we want to find out in Australia. We can find out what we want in Asia. Like we have that ability. We live in a global world and people just are not tapped into the amount of good we can do with this invention. And but then human nature said, but the thing is that we take social media and one of the things I dislike the most is calling out, but there's no resolution. It's just a call out. There's no suggestions of how to do things better. It's just like I don't like that. There are certain people that just continually call out, okay? And I feel that, and they do it on social media, and I feel like if we really are trying, and you just kind of said this, if we are trying to help ourselves, like there should be constructive criticism. Like we should always be up for constructive criticism. That's what I think.
I agree. I think that's what I was saying. If you speak up and speak out, but it can be done with kindness, it can be done giving people grace. Calling in to me is a better first step than calling out loudly on social media. There are things that can be done to effectuate change. Some changes can't be made, but if we never try, we'll never make them. We'll never make any of them.
That's all I want is to try. I promise you. That's all I want.
Well,
I
and the beautiful thing is, there are people who become complacent. There are people who become tired of trying. There are people who think that it is a thankless task, but there's always somebody else who's trying, who's going to make it better, who might have a new idea. They say there are no new ideas under the sun, but you never know. Maybe somebody will have a new idea. And if they do, how amazing is it if they make it work? And if they don't, we know one more way that doesn't work. We'll find another way that does. It's good that there are always people who are trying because there are always people who are disillusioned as well.
I had a friend, I have a photographer friend, an older friend, and we haven't seen each other since pretty much since the new administration's come in, and he's just like, I'm tired, like I don't feel like fighting, and I'm just like, like I told Judy, when I had her on the show and when I see her and stuff, I feel horrible. I feel horrible that we could have my generation could have really like stepped up and pushed us across that finish line to a place where we wouldn't have to worry about if our rights were going to be taken away and stuff. And then, we just took for granted just took for granted everything, and the lack of attention to detail or the lack of engagement to what's going on in the country. It just feels like it's like, oh my god, I've read in history books. I wasn't there during the 80s, but like to talk to anyone that lived through that, I know is an absolute treasure. Like, you know what I'm saying? But then, like, that's the hard things they went through, and to think that we would regress to having to go back to this, it. I mean, I literally cried when I had Judy on my show because I just was like, when she's talking about where she been, what she did, and you're listening to people that were there at the front lines doing some real pioneer type stuff back then, and so like it's like it is a horrific thing to hear LGB without the T. It's a horrific thing to hear. And I don't know. I just, people don't understand. It's a horrific thing to hear. It really
I
is.
agree. I agree. Our transgender siblings are our siblings. That's our family. And we need to embrace each part of our family. And those particular ones are being attacked first. We need to surround them and protect them and raise them up.
And family does it. And even if the case of not getting along with someone, like that's an aspect of family too. Like we might not all get along, but we shouldn't be throwing each other under the bus when times get tough.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
Velvet, I have it's been a while since I asked this question because I've had some various like theme shows and stuff, but I kind of want to go back to the retro days of Louisiana. I'm sorry, throwing like so I want to ask you this question. All right, cool. I haven't asked this question in a long time. How about y'all? Are anyone watching this? I don't know. Okay, anyways. Okay. Velvet, is there any aspect of our community that you feel that we are not shedding enough light on, that we should be shedding light on?
I think sometimes we forget how many of us want the best for our community because we don't all agree on how to get there. And I think if we can look at the way each other approach the changes they want to see made with the understanding that it's because they want the best for our community, maybe we can find a way to work together a little bit more. And and celebrate each other and be happy that we each want what's best for our community.
I mean, that's kind of like I think that's what the IML experience was about, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think, and mental health is important. I'm sure, and I hope that you're taking care of your mental health as a title holder because there are ups and downs. You know this. You have them. You have a responsibility. People are not watching you because you have sash. More so, I'm not going to say that people are not watching me with the sash, but you are a representative of the community, and so I don't have that pressure. So I wish you the best of navigating the world of title holderhood. But you've got two now. So okay, so let me see. What's anything I have to ask you? I think we're getting towards the end of the show. Velvet, I am so glad that you were able to come back. This has been exactly a year. It's been exactly a year since you were on here. I think it was June 2nd was your interview last
I
year.
think so. Yeah.
So it's great. I'm here. If there's any way I can be of help, like, are you going? What's your next event that you're going to?
I am going to Scissortail this coming weekend, and then the following weekend I'll be at Self, where I will be presenting a class on circling and authentic relating.
That sounds amazing. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So, circling is a practice that is about being present with the people you're with in that moment and trying to get what their experience of this moment is like and have them get what your experience of this moment is like. And I want to take some, and we play games, do exercises to practice that. And in this class, we take some of these skills and talk about how we can apply them to our power exchange dynamics.
Right on, right on. I wish that was going to be recorded. We need to have
It's going to be on Self Live as well as in person.
awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I was going to actually, I thought maybe you'd be going to the Dallas Eagle competition, but
I will be there. Yes, I will.
oh, well, it's looking like that I might be there too.
Fantastic. I look forward to seeing you.
I'm working that out. But yeah, so that's it. All right. Well, there's one last thing that you have to do, Velvet. Now I let the guest close the show. So when I count to three, you're going to say, if you're not going right, you're not acting right. You
Got
ready?
it. Ready.
One, two, three.
If you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Velvet. I'd love to have you back on here again. It doesn't have to be a year. We will have to wait a year. But that'll be it. All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for watching Throwing Light. Remember that 100th episode is just around the corner. See y'all later.